A very good morning to you. You're welcome along to OTB AM. It's Thursday morning and it's 7:46 AM and it's a massive show coming your way between now and 9:15 this morning. We're going to be giving you all your gift guide, the things that you should be buying if you haven't bought anything for Christmas just yet, which I presume is the majority of people out there. I think we're generally lazy people. We're going to be chatting plenty about Manchester United and plenty about European football as well. The Champions League group stages have finally wrapped up and we're going to do it all in the company of the hardest working man in Irish media. Kenny Cunningham is back in the studio.
Oh, it's a blatant lie.
You're welcome back.
All good, yeah, all good.
Good stuff. We've asked you to pick your top 10 players from the Champions League group stages so far. We will keep that for a little bit later on in the show. You've had a little bit of difficulty picking that list, but you've had no difficulty whatsoever before we came on air, just rattling through your movies of 2018.
Yeah, it was one of those years. I went through a period of time there. I could have gone maybe a year or two without going to the movies, maybe even 2 or 3 years, particularly when Youngford was a little bit small. But just saying to you there off air, he's got to the age now he quite enjoys the day out the movies. So the last year now I've been to quite a bit, probably at least, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so movies. So yeah, I've quite enjoyed it.
You're a prolific enough cinema goer by modern standards.
Yeah, I always have been. Even when I came off to England originally in digs, I was always one for in the afternoons coming out of training and even heading down to the local video shop as it was then. You get your bargains, you get 3 videos for 2, or if you had them back by the following day, you get them pretty cheap. So I'd be home watching movies in the digs, or even heading up to the local cinema. I'll be in the local cinema kind of 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
right,
watching kind of releases. Yeah, probably me closest friends was numbered about 0 at that time. So yeah, me alone in the cinema house, bag of popcorn, etc., etc. So yeah, I've always enjoyed the films. Yeah.
Is there anything that knocked your socks off back in the day? Before we get into your 2018 pick of the year.
Back in the day, you put me on the spot there. No, I'd watch anything, in all honesty. I really would have watched anything. I really enjoyed it. And it's changed a little bit. The cinema experience has changed, isn't it? Kind of the big UCIs now, and like there were smaller theatres then on the high street. They were just in the, wedged in between a couple of shops on the high street. That was an old cinema style. Even the Savoy, I was back there for the first time maybe in about 25 years this year. I went into the Savoy on O'Connell Street, and even going in there, the red carpet, that kind of feeling. You know what I mean? I haven't experienced that because the modern day cinemas, it's all clean and sparkling. You just don't get that kind of. It's a different type of experience now. It certainly is a different type of experience on your wallet. Paying out bloody £8 for a carton of popcorn, and Youngford spills half it on the bloody carpet, leaves half it on the floor. I'm coursing him.
Go on then, what's your best movie of the year? Or, like the film buff that you are, educate us. If there's
the one was the best one of the movie of the year, which actually surprised me because Youngford saw just a trailer, went, oh, that, boom, 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 and I was like, anything kind of videos, PlayStation things, naturally I'd turn away from, I have no interest whatsoever. So the Ready Player One was the film I went to see with him, really good.
Spielberg.
Yeah, but that was the thing. I looked and I thought, Spielberg, because I looked at the trailer, then I saw Spielberg linked with he directed it. I thought, that's interesting, he's got involved in something like that, because initially I just thought of it as a bit of a video game or thing. But I should have known really with his involvement, but it was really clever. Great film for everybody. There was young kids in there, teenagers, adults, and for me it kind of ticked every box. Very clever, even almost insightful, even just almost throwing something out there, wasn't it, in terms of, look, potentially this is where we're heading, this is where we see ourselves in 30, 50 years or whatever. So it was a really sharp movie. That's probably me best one. And of late, I'd have to shout up The Grinch.
Yeah?
Youngford dragged me to that a couple of weeks ago. Really good. Yeah, really good.
Have you seen the previous Grinch, the one that came out around 2001?
Oh, the Jim Carrey. Yeah, Jim Carrey's brilliant. With that? Well, this is animated. It's totally different. Right, okay. And generally, animated movies. Funny it's animated. We watched Spider-Man there last week. That's a different take on the Spider-Man. But yeah, The Grinch pitched it really, really well. Almost like they told it like a story. It was narrated, the movie, just a voiceover, someone actually talking you through the movie. Yeah, really good.
Good stuff.
Had some good experiences.
I must say, I'm surprised that Ready Player One is your movie of 2018. I haven't seen it. I think I've judged the book by the cover as well, to a certain extent. We do want to talk books in a moment as well. We'll get to that later on. There is a book on Kenny's desk. We'll be letting you know what he's reading. Just to tell you what's coming up on this morning's OTB AM, we're going to start with the sports pages in just a moment. Then Graham Hunter's on at 8:10. We're going to be talking about the resurgence, if you can use that word, of Ousmane Dembele at Barcelona, and also about Real Madrid. Where are they going to look for their next manager? There is some suggestion that Solari, despite the fact that he's got a 3-year contract, might only last until next summer. Will it be Maurizio Pochettino? Could it possibly be José Mourinho? We'll get Graham Hunter's thoughts on that shortly after 8 o'clock. Then at 8:20, it's the Power Rankings, Kenny's top 10 players in the Champions League so far this season. At 8:45, we've got Darren in studio with the sports news. And at 9:05, it's the Off the Ball gift guide featuring, and I can exclusively reveal this, some classic PlayStation action. Kenny Cunningham does not like the sound of that. But for all that, it's time for the back pages.
OTB AM.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.
We'll start with the Irish Times this morning, and on Sports Thursday it goes with struggling United failed to deliver in Spain, and failed to deliver indeed they did. Sané double cap City comeback as well, and Alisson the Rock in Liverpool's defence, but Matip injury is a blow. I guess Manchester United are going to be leading the way pretty much everywhere this morning. Kenny, it's hardly surprising that we're here once again. Like, they haven't found a new way of disappointing their fans, or disappointing the football people in public, really, because I think it's got to a stage now where people who really dislike Manchester United are starting to be like, isn't this a little bit of a shame? Isn't this a little bit sad, what we're seeing?
Yeah, that's probably the worst thing of all. Yeah. I mean, you have to put in perspective, I suppose, last night, a number of changes in the starting lineup, obviously with the game of the weekend in mind against Liverpool. But even still, you're still looking for a performance. You're looking to tick a certain amount of box in terms of the quality performance, just in terms of intensity levels, just that degree of cohesion as well in the team. It wasn't quite there last night. They kind of laboured a little. There was probably a typical Manchester United performance of late. It's a little bit slow pace, moving the ball a little bit too slowly, not really hurting the opposition too much in behind, and looking a little bit frail at times defensively. Valencia played really well, that said, good side, really sharp, good football inside technically, a lot of pace in the team. Really enjoyed watching them play, but the better team won. Although I would suggest the substitutions Mourinho made late on, Rashford and Lingard, obviously holding them back for the weekend. They gave United a different dimension when they came on. They linked up pretty well. Pogba became more involved with those type of players, and actually carried a real threat for the last maybe 10-15 minutes of the game, Manchester United, which kind of augurs reasonably well for the weekend. The introduction of Rashford, Lingard, I would imagine potentially, and Martial as well. And off the back of Pogba's performance, Mourinho was talking about maybe Pogba needing a performance and put himself back into the team the weekend. I don't think he would have been too happy to hear those comments. I think Paul Pogba thinks he has to prove himself to anybody. But for me, I'd love to see him back into the team with those players I've mentioned. And for me, that gives them a real, a dangerous team. As disappointing as they have, and as erratic as their performances have been, the attacking threat which they can put on the pitch, they are still a very dangerous team, and Liverpool still have to be wary of them the weekend. Yeah,
there's no question about that. It's a couple of rugby stories in our next couple of back pages. We'll start with the Times Ireland edition, saying the All Blacks approached Schmidt. So this is news that emerged yesterday, that New Zealand confirmed that the Ireland coach turned down an offer to join Hansen's staff last year. So he would have gone in with Steve Hansen had he accepted the job offer in 2017. And I guess if Hansen, which we'll know in the next couple of days, if he decides to leave the All Blacks, we would have then been in a situation where it would have been Joe Schmidt versus Ian Foster for the top job at the All Blacks. Joe Schmidt yesterday speaking at the Phillips Manager of the Year Awards, also as we can see in the front of the Irish Examiner sports section, saying never say never, Schmidt on leaving Ireland and why 2020 will be all about family. The never say never comment is in relation to his coaching future, that he's spoken about the next 11 months, that they're big for his coaching future. Then he's going to take obviously some time out of the game, but it does seem from his quotes yesterday that he would return to management at some point, and coaching at some point I should say. Phillips Manager of the Year yesterday, Kenny, he's probably a deserving winner. I know from a footballing perspective, I'm not sure who you're looking at. Stephen Kenny perhaps was probably the footballing manager of the year. It's hard to look beyond Schmidt though, isn't it, given the year rugby had.
Yeah, even somebody from a non-rugby background as I am, although I have a healthy interest in the in the rugby, particularly at the Irish team. Yeah, it's phenomenal what he's achieved. What the team and the management staff have done over the past couple of years. Yeah, I've been hugely impressed by him. Even in terms of his decision at the moment, in terms of stepping away. Some people, there's always that argument. We see it in football. Managers who announce when they're stepping away. It's always a mistake. Players lose their focus. Can you really? Are players really hanging on your every word once they know you're out the door in a year's time? I don't think that's not the case.
I suppose it helps that there's a World Cup at the end of it as well, that the players have that focus rather than,
Yeah, exactly. And I think in some ways, you could argue the opposite. I think obviously, I'm guessing there's a close connection. There's certainly a healthy respect from a professional point of view between the Irish rugby players and the coaching staff, and Schmidt in particular. And I think in some respects, this will really focus them on the fact he is going to step away, and there'll be real kind of determination amongst the players to finish this thing, because it's pretty special what they've achieved as a group over the past couple of years to really finish it on a high. And even him putting it out there that he's stepping away, you've mentioned about the All Blacks, I'm sure that's not his intention, but he's literally indirectly putting it out there. Look, I'm going to be available. Yeah, I'm stepping down after World Cup, but very quickly after that, he's talking about family time, but he could be talking 6 weeks. Yeah, Mauritius there, and then boom, he's ready to go. So he's literally putting it out there. Predominantly, I would imagine the All Blacks, like you suggested, that look, I'm here. Come and get me. Let's get something in place for after the World Cup.
It is going to be very interesting to see what does happen next year. And as I say, the Steve Hansen decision in the next couple of days might have a domino effect on all of that. It's a perfume ad on the back of the Irish Independent, but if you go inside, a couple of the talking points, Neil Francis saying Munster will win nothing without Carberry for the big game, so he's not buying the idea that JJ Hanrahan can steer Munster to glory. And Chris Bascombe, his analysis saying Allison already proving his potential to match the greatest stoppers to play for Liverpool. High praise indeed coming in for Alison Becker this week. Kenny, are you buying it? A lot of the Liverpool fans this week are now saying, sit down, David De Gea, Allison is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League.
If you're judging it off the back of maybe the last couple of months, I think there's an argument there. He started the season really well, Allison. A couple of small individual mistakes, but I wouldn't overly worry too much about that. Very decisive, very confident, very comfortable with the ball at his feet. Good shot stopper. A lot of things we would expect, paying that amount for a goalkeeper. But he has done. You're never quite sure, I don't think, Owen, in terms of keeper, any type of outfield player coming in from abroad, particularly into the Premiership. Players can have problems in terms of settling in. You're looking for Fabinho in particular, money spent on him. Even Fred at United struggling to find their form. So a goalkeeper even more so, being in a position of the pitch where you're most exposed. But he's done really well, and that save the other evening. Actually, I didn't think it was a world-class save. It was a good save. He did all he had to do. He got out quick, he shut down the space, and he made himself as big as possible. And basically, when you do it as a keeper, you're crossing your fingers and just hoping the ball hits you. And that's exactly what it did. But it was a key save, a huge moment. Well, Liverpool's season and his career personally.
Yeah, definitely. The back of the Racing Post this morning says the price is right. There's value to be had in a lopsided Ali Pali draw. Apparently, it starts tonight. It's the World Darts Championship, the PDC World Darts Championship. The
PDC.
PDC, yeah, not PVC. Maybe PVC will come on board as a sponsor some other time. They have another sponsor at the moment. The BDO Lakeside doesn't start for
a few weeks.
Where is
Ali Pali? Where I've heard of.
It's somewhere in London. It's in London.
That's
as far. I've never been
basically,
there, but
in the UK.
I do want to go to Ali Pali now, because there's one statistic that's doing the rounds this morning, Kenny, which has absolutely blown me away. So throughout the duration of the PDC World Darts Championship at Alexandra Palace,
right?
Can you guess how many pints will be drank?
Oh my! How big is the venue? How many does it hold? People?
You're really putting me on the spot.
I can do the maths, because I'm not bad at basic maths. I'm not so bad with. Well, so you tell me that you can get 5,000 people in there.
But when you say basic maths, what's the actual?
Well, I'm saying during the course of it, I've never attended one of these darts things, but the lads can obviously they can put it away, can't they? The darts are powers.
They certainly can.
I would have thought an average you're looking at maybe about, I'd say, 10 points for every person there during the course of a darts match, and that's per day. Over the course of a tournament, it's ridiculous. You're going to be talking like the hundreds of thousands.
Give me a number.
I used in the history of the event.
No.
One day.
Just this year's tournament.
Oh, this year's tournament.
So it'll go on for 10 days. Take a break for Christmas for 2 or 3 days.
Goes on for 10 days.
And then come back until New Year's Day. So got about 20 days.
It could really help me. If you give me the attendance, if you give me what the place actually holds there, I could give you
it's sizable enough. I'd say about
50,000. I go 500,000.
500
points.
You're 50% correct. 1 million pints.
1 million pints
will be served between now, and that's only pints of a beer, ale, and cider. I'm sure there's pints of vodka being drank as well.
That's just the women.
Exactly. That is the Racing Post. There is a PDC World Arts Championship preview special inside the Racing Post, if that floats your boat this morning. We'll move on to the Guardian. The back page says, Sky falls in, defined Froome pledges team will survive as sponsor quits. But the main picture there is of Manchester United and a fairly dejected looking Sergio Romero and Phil Jones after his own goal. Phil Jones tends to do. I think he's scored 4 own goals for Manchester United and 5 goals for Manchester United.
People in glass houses, I've got to be careful here what I say. I've got a list as long as my arm here in terms of own goals in the course of my career.
It is an unfair metric to judge somebody by. It's not
it's horrible. I mean, I think funny enough, I remember the stat. I don't want to drop people, but Richard Dunn was when Richard played, was constantly thrown out on the TV. I noticed in terms of Richard probably scored quite a lot of own goals in comparison to he might actually be the record holder. I don't want to hang him out here, but of course Richard's the outstanding defender, one of the outstanding defenders of his generation. You know what I mean? So it doesn't, people might, we scored a load of OGs.
Carragher scored a load of OGs as well.
Yeah, exactly. So. I wouldn't worry about it too much. You could. It's an interesting argument. Why? What's the reason behind it in terms of the team the quality team that you may be playing with at times, the amount of defending that you have to do as a centre half. You're always in that area of the pitch. The ball comes into the box. No surprise. Maybe record people who scored own goals are defenders, obviously, and centre halves for that particular reason. They usually defend in that area which is closest to the goal. But I fell for Jones last. I had a bit of sympathy from last night. I thought the keeper made the biggest error of all, charging off his line. I think he made a very difficult.
Really? The way I looked at it, I thought it was very much a Jones error.
No, because he was running shoulder to shoulder with Batshuayi. He was having a physical confrontation, a foot race with the Valencia centre forward. He was pulling his jersey, so he was basically trying to hold his ground there and stay in control of that situation. And when you're doing that, it's very difficult to get your head up and take a picture of what's happening around you, in particular where your keeper's coming. And as a defender, if I'm in that position, I'm expecting my keeper to be actually taking a step away from me, not coming towards me, keeping the distance between me and him, so I can do exactly what Jones actually did. Because the simplest pass for Jones to play is the one straight ahead of him, back towards the goalkeeper, especially when you're having a physical contest with his centre forward. So for me, Romero should have been stood on the edge of his 6-yard box just to allow him to make that ball back to him. As soon as he came towards him, I don't think Jones actually saw him, and as soon as obviously he made the pass, he knew he'd scored the OG. So I had a little bit of sympathy for Jones in that respect.
What does it feel like to score an own goal?
Depends on the type. Depends on the type of own goal. I mean, you can have I remember once. I'm not sure if technically, I might be wrong here, I might have actually scored 2 own goals in a game.
Did you?
I don't think it was recorded as 2 own goals.
For who?
Wimbledon. It was a game against Aston Villa. There was one, the ball came across the box and it was on target, but it hit me anyway and kind of went to, one of them, it wasn't obvious to the eye. But the next one came back post, and I was defending me back post as a full back. And I was literally trying to just side foot the ball behind. I was only 3 yards from the goal. I was trying to side foot it beyond the back post for a corner kick with the winger behind me. So you're in a reasonable decent position. You should be inside your winger. So I just thought, take no chances, just side foot it behind the post. And just hit it the wrong side of the ball. It's just side footed into the goal.
And I presume you just want the ground to open up and swallow you whole at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some of the lads can help you out, some don't. Some can throw their hands in the air and shove you under a bus. In some respects, it's not so bad if somebody has a go at you, verbally. Sometimes that's not the worst thing in the world. It's when somebody kind of rolls their eyes or they turn their back on you. Then you feel as if you're the last man. You're the only person there in the stadium, you know what I mean? You see people's numbers walking towards the halfway line. That can be a bit of a lonely experience.
And who were those players in the Wimbledon camp that would have rolled their eyes at you?
No, I'm just saying, generally speaking, when you get a bit older, you can deal with it. But as a young player, because I would have been the most confident even early in my career, so something like that could have knocked me a little bit, So when you get a bit older, you get to deal with it. You can park it a little bit and get on. You just next 5 minutes, make sure your next touch is a good, your next pass. You find one of your teammates, your next tackle, your next hand, you build your confidence a little bit again. That's just experience, but I can't knock you, certainly as a young player.
But it's true, isn't it? It's it depends on the people around you and the manager you have. You look at someone like Kyle Walker-Peters the other night getting absolutely roasted by Dembele for that goal. If that was in another era with a harsher management and harsher teammates, that could be the sort of thing that could crush a guy. Whereas you'd assume Pochettino, he gave him a big hug when he came off.
He did, yeah. But I wouldn't, like I said to you, I wouldn't mind somebody verbally, rather if someone come over to me and throw their arm over me and giving it, I'd find that a bit more. I'd be a bit more embarrassed by that. Somebody making a big, you don't worry about, get your head up.
That probably says more about you though than
possibly so. Yeah, but I'd rather somebody come with a heavy hand a little bit. You know what I mean? Particularly as I got a bit older, I'd no problem with that. Come on, Ken, you're better than that. That's rubbish. Concentration, Yeah, I'm with you there. Rather than the kind of proper loving, like, you know what I mean? In the 6-yard box.
Not for you.
I'll be doing any of that, no.
Back page of the Herald this morning is it's do or die for the boys in Europe. Griffith steps aside ahead of showdown. And you've also got a picture there of Paul Pogba grimacing as Valencia beat Manchester United 2-1 in the Mestalla last night. The back page of the Sun is dreadful. Owen blasts Jose as United and Pog flop again. That's Michael Owen tearing into Manchester United last night on BT Sport after that defeat. And going hit Joe hard. The decision to depart Ireland after next year's Rugby World Cup was not taken lightly by Joe Schmidt. And this is an interesting one. More discussed. Maurizio Sarri has described the abuse Raheem Sterling received from Chelsea fans as disgusting. It seems that people are very much rallying behind Raheem Sterling at this point. Not just Pep Guardiola, who of course came out this week to back Raheem Sterling, but also managers and players from other teams. And also another story on the back of the Sun there is Arsenal's Ainsley Maitland-Niles saying he suffered racial abuse from as young as 12 years of age playing in the academy, which is just ridiculously grim. But as I say there, it's great to see the Premier League community, even if it's a couple of days late, starting to rally behind Raheem Sterling, making this...
is this in particular the abuse you received at Stamford Bridge? Owen, do you mind me asking you, off the Chelsea supporters kind of highlighted behind the goal?
Well, yeah.
In particular?
Exactly, yeah.
All right.
He says, like Sarri has actually said, it was disgusting, that particular incident.
Well, has it been proved? I know they've been charged, those lads. Nothing's actually been proved as yet, because it was interesting, like, everybody's in agreement on this. Obviously, any kind of racial abuse is unacceptable, and that was the case. There was any kind of racial abuse there, those people will be dealt with. But I thought it was interesting. I read a statement from Chelsea Football Club off the back of it to say that if it's proved that Raheem Sterling was verbally abused by supporters behind the goal, they will be dealt with and banned from the ground. And that made me think a little bit, because there was no reference made to any kind of racial abuse. They limited to verbal abuse. And I began thinking to myself, that's interesting, verbal abuse. I mean, what constitutes verbal abuse? Racist abuse, I think we all have a pretty good understanding of that. But actual verbal abuse, if you're going to take the stand, you're going to start banning people from the ground for verbally abusing players. That didn't sit altogether comfortably with me, to be honest with you. I think that's a bit of a slippery slope.
I wonder was it just the statement, the way they worded it, they might have just forgot.
Well, that is how they worded it. Yeah. It was only that. It was only verbal abuse.
That might not be a policy though. They might just be referring to this particular case. That
hopefully
abused racially.
Yeah, hopefully that is the case. But I just hope off the back of that. I mean, you know what I mean. We go down the road while you know people shouting at players on the pitch and saying things you wouldn't necessarily like. Once you start going out race abuse, we all agree with that. But verbal abuse, we've all seen. Bloody hell, you're rubbish. Go get rah rah. You know what I mean? I think that'd be a slippery slope there. I'd be a little bit concerned by that. Yeah, well, there's a clear line between them, isn't it? But I think once you step over into any type of verbal abuse, we all want to go there to family game and all that. I understand that. But at the end of the day, if we're going to start ejecting people from football grounds for any type of verbal abuse, I think that's kind of moving the conversation on. But it's limited to any kind of racist behaviour or racist abuse, yeah, clearly everybody's in agreement on that.
Back at the Irish Daily Star is red-faced. Howard Jones' own goal sees United bungle top spot. That was the thing. It was the opportunity there last night for Manchester United to top the group after that incredible young boys result against Juventus. Back page of the Mirror is Sterling show of strength. This is an exclusive by John Cross. That Premier League chiefs are discussing proposals to offer Raheem Sterling a show of strength this weekend with an anti-racism campaign. Again, the whole footballing community starting to rally behind Raheem Sterling at this point in the week. And this one, we're going to get into this in a few moments with Graham Hunter. A real fight for Poch, or a Real fight for Poch, I should probably say. Spanish giants ready to go head-to-head with rivals United. Also John Cross with the byline there. We'll talk to Graham about that as to who's better poised to actually get Maurizio Pochettino. Who does Real Madrid actually want? Could they potentially want Jose Mourinho? Come get me, says the back of the Irish Daily Mail. Schmidt opens door to an offer from the All Blacks, says Hugh Farrelly. So this is obviously going to be beyond his year out from the game, and he says the door is very much still open for him to go back into coaching. Sweet Sané double, just a treat, and don't even think of crossing me, says Kenny. Republic of Ireland manager in waiting Stephen Kenny has warned budding talent not to contemplate putting club over country under his watch. So that's an interesting take. That was one of the big stories actually this week in terms of young Irish talent. Troy Parrott scoring for the Spurs youth against Barcelona midweek. There is a slow drip feed of hope again when it comes to young Irish talents, it seems. I'm not sure what your take is on that, but with him and Michael Obafemi's performance against Manchester United last Saturday week as well.
Yeah, but
it's tenuous, I know, and there's only a limited
amount. But for me, it's I don't. You've heard this, we've heard a steady stream of this now over the past couple of years, in terms of the dearth of talent. And where's the young players we don't have? We're not producing them. But for me, it hasn't stood up. For me, the talent pool's always been there in terms of young Irish talent, whether it's here within the country, within the League of Ireland infrastructure, or actually over in England. So for me, the talent's still there. We're seeing it now. Obviously, a lot of talk. Troy Parrott, but young Leo O'Connor, I believe, travelled with the squad over to the recent Denmark. He's in the system at Manchester United. A very talented young player, Leo O'Connor. Caoimhin Kelleher was on the bench. Nobody was talking about that for the last Irish game as well. An outstanding young goalkeeper. So the talent pool's there, and yeah, off the back of the draws for the senior team, obviously, and even the under 21 already. I'm hoping the excitement levels are building a little bit going forward. It's just a shame we have to wait such a long time, the end of March, for those games to begin. But at least a little positivity around the place. People talking about the national setup, the senior team, the under 21 in a more positive frame of mind, rather than what seemed to be the constant talking down of our players in terms of the talent pool available to us, the individual qualities of players, the level they were playing at, the players that we hadn't got any more available to us. For me, far too negative. Concentrate on the players we have and the qualities and the talents which they have, and maximising the potential we have at our disposal. If we can do that very quickly, we can turn into a force again at any level.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got any thoughts this morning, by the way, you can tweet us at Off The Ball. You can comment on the stream as well. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, we particularly like to hear from Manchester United fans at the moment. What should they do with José Mourinho? Should he leave in the next couple of months? Should he leave at the end of the season? Should they sack him? Should they get rid of Paul Pogba? What are they going to do? And is this the lowest ebb? And to talk about this and a little bit more about football on the continent, Graham Hunter joins us this morning. A very good morning to you, Graham. How are things?
Good morning, Kenny. Hi, how are you?
Good stuff. We were talking about José Mourinho just a moment ago, and we're talking about Mauricio Pochettino as well, because I'm just seeing here in front of me in the Irish Mirror a real fight for Poch, that it seems that it's going to be Manchester United versus Real Madrid going for Mauricio Pochettino. I do wonder if it's as one-dimensional as this, though, Graham, that Florentino Perez is looking at the array of options around Europe and seeing Mauricio Pochettino as his one and only situation to succeeding Solari perhaps at the end of this season.
Can I say, it's like saying the All-Ireland final will be between Dublin, and then you don't say Kerry or Dundalk. Listen, the big story about this is that anybody thinks they're getting Mauricio Pochettino, they're not in a fight with each other, they're in a fight with Daniel Levy. For example, last summer, there was a big social event at which Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid, his vice president was at. And they were talking to Mauricio Pochettino. And he said, I've just signed a new contract, there's no get-out clause. And they said, well, you've just blown it. You'd be a Real Madrid manager. If there was a get-out clause, we'd pay it. You'd be in charge. They wanted him to take over from Zinedine Zidane on. And Daniel Levy is somebody who, understandably, I'm going to cough again, I'm sorry, understandably thinks he's got a first-rate, modern, young, talented, energetic coach and manager. I think Pochettino fills both those descriptions. Individually on the training ground, he's very, very good in terms of player management. He highlights all the things that Jose Mourinho once did and is now doing badly. And therefore, headline writers and journalists can write anything they want about the queue of clubs who would scrap for Pochettino were he available. But not until the point comes when Pochettino says to Spurs, I will walk out, chase me, sue me. Can any club think of acquiring him? Because Daniel Levy won't let him go. He's got him under contract. Modern idiom based on the way in which buyout clauses were introduced to Spanish football immediately after the Jean-Marc Bosman case. so that there was a degree of controlled contractual liberty. It's now a modern idiom that clever agents, clever footballers who are willing to have their salaries slightly controlled, because if you impose a buyout clause on your contract, the people who are allowing you that liberty can say, okay, we're going to pay you a little bit differently, a little bit less. So if you want to build me a dream scenario for some United fans, where Ed Woodward wakes up and smells the coffee, or the owners remove Ed Woodward and bring in somebody who understands football differently, that's a euphemism for better, and they remove Jose Mourinho and stop the somnambulism on the pitch, and they go after Mauricio Pochettino, they still have an enormous, and I think at the moment, unwinnable battle to get the Spurs manager to Old Trafford. So in my usual block capital letter speaking, I've made that sound like opinion, but the majority of it's fact.
I'll put this one to you, Graham. Just looking at some of the suggestions online, and I can be accused of perhaps falling for a conspiracy quite easily, but I wouldn't be surprised if in 12 months' time we're looking at Real Madrid and Jose Mourinho is their manager, for a number of reasons. You think about the bridges he burned at Real Madrid, you think of the players that he fell out with, like Casillas isn't there anymore, Pepe's not there anymore, Ronaldo's not there anymore, Sergio Ramos really is the only burnt bridge that needs to be addressed. But most importantly, Jose Mourinho's sick of not being given the full backing of the board, and he's got a fantastic relationship by all accounts with Perez. On his end, it's a dream scenario to go back there. Perez wants this short-term fix, as in this the domestic drought, if you can put it that way. He wants a La Liga title again. A one-season wonder with Jose Mourinho winning La Liga seems like a possible thing, right?
Listen, I like all your theory. You've nailed it. I don't simply like it because I've been proposing this for some months. And the story would be this, and I think you missed out one crucial item to make your theory perfect. Florentino Perez has always burned with a fury about the way in which his era is packed full of achievements and trophies, but has never, outside the Real Madrid family, as gigantic as that is, inspired the love and the devotions. And look, sometimes I don't want to feel I'm guilty of this, but the lashings of lovely description, it did all get a bit Kitten and Emma, didn't it, over Barcelona at their very best, because they were so bloody brilliant that the adjectives flowed. The idea of the beauty of the midfield, the stellar nature of the football, irrespective of the trophies, the idea that Guardiola was a genius, and above all, the love which Barcelona earned for the faith in the cantera, the our lads are playing for our team. Florentino Perez hated that. He brought Mourinho in the first place, not simply to build a winning Madrid team on, but to stick it to Football Club Barcelona. So from Mourinho's point of view, and I genuinely believe this is how he's configuring it, Xavi and Iniesta gone, Puyol gone, Victor Valdez gone. A club Guardiola gone. A club patently in the throes of transformation, likely not for the better. Leo Messi coming to a point at which, for example, there's a get-out clause in his contract in 2020 for Messi. I have no idea if he'll take it. Frankly, my suspicion is that he'll choose to stay on. But it's a diminished, different Football Club Barcelona that if Mourinho were to take over at Real Madrid, he'd be facing. And therefore, the attractiveness is awfully high to him and awfully high to Florentino Perez. You're right on.
Yeah, for sure. There's one other thing we just wanted to get your take on, Graham, and it is Barcelona. You mentioned them there, but one player in particular, Ousmane Dembele, catching the eye this week with that incredible goal, really, against Tottenham Hotspur. There is some talk, there was I read, you were probably in the press box yourself, a Catalan radio journalist on Tuesday night apparently said put the training back a couple of hours every day, and Valverde was quite lighthearted about it as well, that this idea of Dembele not being a good trainer, or simply not training at all and not showing up in time for training, is tended to be laughed off a little bit, which is quite a sea change from what we were looking at a couple of months ago at the start of this season. I think it's fair to say at this point though, perhaps the Barcelona fans look at Ousmane Dembele with a little more warmth than the Barcelona players, and I do wonder how problematic that might end up being.
How's the off the ball AM budget?
It's absolutely sky high. It's like a Hollywood film.
Listen, he needs an alarm clock. He needs, for Christmas, he needs a beautiful alarm clock, because it's a matter of fact that he's now twice slept in for training, once missing it altogether and kind of going absent for about a day. And then the next time he plays that beautiful game against Espanyol, irrespective of the Spurs goal. Spurs goal is absolutely phenomenal. Dembele for the remainder of that game is kind of average, a little bit dopey. But against Espanyol, he put in a right good 5-star performance. Brilliant. Another good goal, good assist in the Catalan City derby. So the long and short of it is that his football's improving. He's made a pledge to his fellow players. I'll start growing up, I'll start behaving. And I'm told that he was pretty bereft, that he was pretty disgusted with himself on Sunday morning or Sunday lunchtime when he turned up for training when everybody else had done their work. And Kenny will tell you, one of the things that we underestimate most of all is the relentless nature of demand on elite athletes. It's not like play when we see them and show and carry the pressure and turn a game and win a game. It's like get on the plane, travel home, miss your sleep, miss your family, play a win, play a lose, next morning, training as ever, work. We all moan about the constant hours we do in our jobs. They do it too. And if you can't tick that box, everybody else looks at you, number one, around, the tough heads in that, the tough heads in that dressing room, PK or Busquets or Alba. These are tough guys, hard-nosed, don't mess with me guys. And first of all, they look at a kid like that and they go, well, you're just about going to cut it if you can't waken up because you're utterly brilliant. And then they go, well, if he's getting slack, I want slack. PK's trying to buy the Davis Cup and wants to be in New York or in Madrid and would love to say he's used to happen to the Galacticos under Florentino Perez in the Vicente del Bosque president. I'd like one day off training. It won't make a big deal. And Dembele never turns up anyway. Give me a free pass. All right, he can't afford that. So as good as Dembele is, he needs to slap himself in the face, receive that little present from Dublin that is the shape of an alarm clock, and get his finger out, man.
Yeah, it seems like pretty good advice there, Graham. Thanks a million. We'll chat to you soon.
See you, boys.
Graham Hunter there on the line from Spain, chatting about José Mourinho, chatting about Real Madrid and Barcelona. Right, we're going to be speaking a little bit more about José in just a moment with Kenny, but speaking on Virgin Media last night, on Virgin Media Sport, Graham Souness had this advice for José Mourinho.
If I'd been him, I know what I would have done. I'm thinking about it. I would have said to him, okay, people are saying that we're not a great watch, we're not, the teams of United have had in the past. How do you want to play tonight? How do you think we should play tonight? And throw it right back on their toes. And at the end of it, might have got a bit more of a picture of what's going on at United. It was a free hit for them tonight. No one thought Juventus were going to lose at Young Boys, but they did. But tonight was a free hit for United. There you are, lads. Go out and show me what you've got. Forget everything I've told you in the last 6 months this year. Go out and show me what you're made of.
Graham Souness' advice there for José Mourinho. Remember, Virgin Media Sport is the new home of European football in Ireland, with more than 400 UEFA Champions League, Europa League and Nations League games live this season. Virgin Media Sport is exclusive to all Virgin Media TV customers, who can also download the TV Anywhere app and stream all the action whenever and wherever they like. Not sure what you think of that, Kenny, but that advice for Jose, are we at a point here where we're sort of just playing out the end game of Jose Mourinho? Because there are glimmers of hope every so often. You think about Juventus, think about even last weekend's performance, and all of a sudden it just goes back and we get to the situation where we're like, is this actually the worst part of the season for Jose and Manchester United?
Yeah, I think it is coming to an end. I've thought that way for a short period of time now. I just think his relationship with some key players in the dressing room was kind of irretrievably broken down. Pogba's the obvious one, so I find it very hard how he's going to repair those relationships going forward. So if results, as well on top of that, results don't improve, United find themselves out of top four come the end of the season, and those simmerings are still there in the dressing room. I can't see him hanging around now. Things outside of his control might facilitate his departure from the football club, and Real Madrid is the obvious one. I think there's something steering as well with Pochettino. This is the first time this year. Just heard a couple of things come out. We've spoken a couple of times, spoken about the squad, the financial situation, potentially his future, and he's just thrown a few little things out there which just might make you think potentially he might be looking at his next step away from Tottenham Hotspur. I think a big part of that will be his contractual situation at Tottenham. I find it very hard to believe someone as bright as him, he signed the contract at Tottenham Football Club with no release clause, even if it's for a reasonably large amount of money. If he hasn't done that, it's rather foolish because it's put all the power in Daniel Levy's hands. So, yeah, I look at Mourinho, Pochettino, United, Madrid, and I think something's going to have me gut feel at the moment. Things can change. Tells me something's going to happen there in the summer. And if Mourinho thinks he can bail out of United and straight into the job at Real Madrid, and things are as they are at the moment in terms of the atmosphere around the club, I think he'll go, and that'll pave the way potentially for Pochettino, who's highly regarded at Old Trafford, maybe to make that step up to Manchester even.
Yeah, Niall Quinn was saying in Virgin Media Sport last night as well, actually, that the United fans are brilliant the way they keep supporting the team to the very end. Are you surprised that there hasn't just been more rebellion around the stands of Old Trafford?
No, I've got a lot of respect for Manchester United supporters because they're...
Are they too loyal almost? Like if they really want José out...
I'm not sure if you can be too loyal. I think there's a lot of respect for the position, the manager's position at Manchester United Football Club, which I think is a good thing. You know, it doesn't take too much nowadays for managers to be kind of criticised and even ridiculed by supporters, even their home supporters. So I think in the modern game it's actually a very good thing to see. But I think primarily just in terms of what we're seeing on the football pitch, I think probably that's the most damning. And I'm a huge Mourinho fan, always have been, but it's been a bit of a struggle for him at Manchester United, and he hasn't got that. He's been there now, it's 2.5 years he's been at the football club on, you have to realise, and I'd expect a little bit more kind of cohesion from what I'm saying, a bit more organisation, and Manchester United just be at a higher level than they are at the moment. And like I said, factor in then in terms of kind of fractious nature of the relationship in the dressing room with a number of key players, and not just your senior players, some of the young outstanding talent at the football club as well. I find it difficult to see a way forward, medium to long term, for Mourinho and Manchester United, and unless the club back him in the summer and they send Pogba out the door, potentially one or two others, and totally reinvest the money again and actually start again, build again. Whether they want to give Mourinho that responsibility, I'm not too sure. My gut feeling tells me they'd rather give that responsibility to someone like Pochettino to go and rebuild the team. Is there some sort of mental issue there where they play down to their opponents, and it's as simple as that, where they look at a team like Valencia and they play down to their level, or perhaps even just a little bit below Valencia's level, and that, I guess the common thing that's thrown around is you wouldn't be surprised if they went out and knocked one of the big teams out of the tournament, which they might do in the next round because they're going to get a good team, or that what they might do to Liverpool on Sunday, that if you play down to your opponents, you also play up to your good opponents. Do you subscribe to that at all? No, not particularly. They certainly didn't play down to Valencia. Valencia were on a different level to Manchester United last night in terms of their technical ability, in terms of the balance of the team, how they played their football, crisp passing, some good combination play, defended well, played real energy, verve to their play. United a lot more laboured in their approach, that kind of indecision, a little bit of kind of lack of confidence, no real kind of at times structure to their play. You could argue is the structure affected by in terms of the calibre of player. Obviously a lot of changes last night on into the team. Pereira was playing in there, Fred came in, Fellaini playing as that hole in midfield that people say, oh, well, not, United aren't playing through the centre midfield. Well, you're not going to play through the centre midfield with Mario Fellaini. I'm a big fan of Fellaini, but Fellaini's in number 10. Fellaini's best position is pretty much off the front and an impact substitute coming off the bench. You're not going to be a free-flowing type of football team when you've got Mario Fellaini parked as a number 6 in front of your back four. He's not going to get on the ball on the half turn and open opposition teams up with his passing. So there's a lot of things going on there. But it's amazing. I'm not a Manchester United fan, but I still look at that Manchester United squad and my eyes light up in terms of some of the attacking, certainly the attacking talent in the team. But they haven't addressed some of the issues which they have across the defensive line. A lot of money been spent there. They haven't found the solution, particularly in the centre, in the defence. And that central midfield, again, they spent big in terms of bringing Fred in the summer, and he hasn't been the answer. So again, they're short in that central midfield area, and factoring the other things that we're talking about in terms of relationship with other players and the atmosphere around the football club. you see the reasons why Manchester United are kind of stumbling along at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to get your best players from the Champions League group stages in just a moment. But before that, Simon Cooper joined last night's football show for a chat about some of the brightest talents within Ajax.
I'd say it's very likely they both move next summer.
Okay.
De Jong is already lining up for that publicly. And it was reported in Holland last week quite credibly that he'd agreed to sign for Paris Saint-Germain for 75 million. Having also previously talked to Manchester City, Barcelona had been tailing him for a long time. I mean, really, all the big European clubs have watched these two.
Right.
De Ligt, not clear. His agent now is Mino Raiola, who's been talking to Juventus. Barcelona is another possibility. I mean, it's almost inconceivable, barring a big injury, that either of them would still be at Ajax after the summer.
Okay.
And De Jong, the two players, of course, that Simon Cooper is speaking about there. So, it's the thing we've all been looking forward to this morning. Your 10 best players. PlayStation is coming soon.
It's amazing that the picture there, De Ligt, I mean, 19 years of age.
Yeah.
He's a man, isn't he? See the sort of shoulders, physique.
Yeah, we saw him live in Lisbon a couple of weeks ago.
Jolly up, yeah. Good stuff.
Got to the Benfica Ajax game. But he is an impressive specimen.
I'm really looking forward to seeing them. I haven't seen them play over 90 minutes this year, Ajax. I'm actually hoping one of the English teams will draw them in the last 16. So we'll actually see this Ajax team over two legs, and those two players in particular, De Jong as well, highly thought of. Interesting to see what type of player De Jong actually is. A lot of talk from him coming into Manchester City as a replacement for Fernandinho, but it's a particular type of play. I mean, you look at Fernandinho, his attributes, very that kind of defence-minded, physically aggressive, good tackler, real kind of defensive mindset. Interesting to see if that De Jong has got those kind of attributes like in that area of the pitch. But yeah, very exciting times for Ajax. I enjoyed that interview I was in with Joe last night. Like, interesting listening to him, Simon, talk there.
And it's exciting times for us as well. Are those two players in their top 10?
Well, I would give him a minute. I'm not going to go strong on it because, like I say, I haven't seen enough of them play. You're looking for me top 10. We've had a little bit of a disagreement of sorts, but
we had a full-blown fight. Yeah,
you're looking for outstanding players who really caught the eye in the Champions League. To be honest with you, my natural inclination, things like this, I always look towards some of the young talent for me. I just immediately look in terms of, well, who's caught the eye, up and coming, who's really maybe broken through this year. And the one team for me which really stands out, the one team that stands out head and shoulders is Borussia Dortmund. Because I think generally speaking, we're all a fan of the football club back to Jurgen Klopp's days, but they lost away a little bit there a couple of years ago. Lost a lot of players, change of managers, Tuchel, etc. left. But this year they look as if they're back. And if I look at their team, there's some real talent in there in terms of the youngsters. Jadon Sancho we know all about in terms of the impact he's had at the football club. Hakimi was actually on loan. I believe he's still on loan for Real Madrid. He's really impressed me in the full back position. And a young centre half, Zagadou, who they signed, actually got a free transfer from PSG season half ago. He's been a mainstay this season. He's out injured at the moment. But a couple of times I've seen him play, I've really impressed. He looks like 6'3", 6'4". Again, he's only 19.
6'5", actually.
Yeah, he's huge. Yeah. But comfortable on the ball, moves over, just in terms of composure, how he carries himself. People talk about kind of Van Dijk, obviously, in terms of that kind of personality. But, Van Dijk's like, in his late 20s, and his last 19 years of age, and shown already the attributes that he can play at the very highest level. Even in terms of the centre midfielder, which for me was a problem for Dortmund, they got out killed there for a while. They lost the balance. They were a bit of a soft touch in the central area of the pitch for me. Had some outstanding young talent high up the pitch. Pulisic has been there for some. He can't get into the team at the moment. He's one potentially could even move, if not the end of the season, even in the transfer window. He's been linked to a couple of the English clubs. Brun Larsen as well is coming on the left hand side. But that central area of the pitch, they brought in Axel Witsel. And he's one of those players, Witsel, was that massive sign. Remember, he left Portugal, he went to Zenit some years, a massive amount of money, 40 million. Doesn't seem much now, but at the time was absolutely huge. And he's a funny one, because I saw him play at the RDA. He played in against Dundalk out in Tallaght for Zenit in the Europa stages. And it was interesting watching him play again. Physical specimen, unbelievable. 6'3", athletic, technically comfortable on the ball. Just plays it simple. You know, just gets on the ball, keeps it simple, wins his fair share of tackles, tracks runners. You know, almost a lot of under the radar stuff. But I think he's really benefited Dortmund this year. Him and Delaney in that central area of the pitch, giving them a kind of a real presence in that central area, and allowed those younger players who I've spoken about to flourish. Alcácer as well, coming in from Barcelona, bad time there, wasn't playing games, kind of lost his ways a little bit. A huge amount of goals he scored. So if we talk about, I could almost pick 10 players from that Borussia Dortmund team. I think they've been absolutely outstanding. But looking away from them, Inter for me is a team. Talk about centre halves a little bit at the moment. Zagadou there, Van Dijk as well. Van Dijk's obviously worth a mention. If we talk about outstanding,
is he the best centre half in the world at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. But I think there's a couple around him. Koulibaly, we saw him up close for Napoli last night, but I've been a fan of his for the last kind of 18 months. He's really come on, particularly his ball playing has really improved. His ability to kind of step forward and play through midfield. That part of his game has really improved. He's a lot more polished defender than he was a couple of years ago. And Skriniar, who at Inter Milan, is another centre-half I really like. He looks a little bit cumbersome when you see him play. Again, physically imposing, big lad, but a great defender. Very rarely see him beat in 1v1 situation.
He's 6'2". I'm starting to see a trend here.
We're not going to see. We're going to haggle over an inch. You know what I mean? You get the picture on. But in terms of defending in and around the penalty box, got a little bit Jamie Carragher's about him. For me, loves his defending. You know, that intuition, being in the right place in the box, wins a lot of his headed crosses into the box, senses danger, makes good decisions, and the very best defenders in the world are the best decision makers. We all know that. Reasonably comfortable with the ball on his feet. Like, he looks a little bit cumbersome in possession, but he's actually reasonably comfortable. But he's one who always stands out for me at Inter. I could talk up Perisic a little bit, obviously off the left hand side. I always enjoy watching him play, and Brozovic as well in that central area of the pitch. A lovely football, that ball playing central midfield player. He's one I always enjoy watching. I have enjoyed watching this year for Inter Milan. Now, off the back of that, you could go, I don't know where you want to go.
So the way I'm looking at it here, we've got Zagadou and Skriniar as definitely two of your unheralded talents so far this year. I would say Sancho probably made your top 10 listing.
Yeah, Hakimi I'd put in as in terms of, if you're looking for a back forward, I'd Skriniar, Zagadou, I'd throw Hakimi in there as well. Even going to Paris Saint-Germain, really, you know, you can throw a couple of names there, but not really. Probably from a look at Lyon. Cornet is a couple of players I quite like at Lyon. I've seen him play.
Where does he play?
A couple of times. Can play predominantly off the flanks. He's a real threat. Very athletic, dynamic player. I think he might have actually scored in the opening game against Manchester City.
Yeah, I think so.
Memphis Depay, I think, is worth a mention.
He's really had a resurgence, hasn't he?
Absolutely, because he was finished. I mean, he was just shown the door at Manchester. It looked as if almost people just giving up on him, you know what I mean? In terms, not just his ability, but just in terms of attitude. It looks as if he's absolutely totally lost his way for a lot of different reasons. But he's really bounced back. So give him a little bit of credit for that. And even the Valencia team last night, this was even before the game last night. Valencia team I always enjoyed playing. We saw him play at Old Trafford this season and played some really sharp football. You know what I mean? Are
you looking at Soler?
Yeah, I'm looking at Santi Mina. Even kind of
Cheryshev, I suppose, is another big one in the mix.
Yeah, I like the pairing in midfield, Dogbia. And his partners eluded me now in centre midfield, the ball playing centre midfielder, which they have. But just in terms of having a real kind of happy balance to the team, work hard out of possession, nice and compact. And in possession.
Parejo,
the captain, of course. Yeah, again, you look at him, really slow pace, slow move. It's a real effort to get around the pitch. Certainly out of possession of the ball, in possession of the ball, you'll have it anyway. Playing the half turn, plays forward. Takes people out of the game, range of pass and big switch of play, can play in tight areas. Really clever little operator as well. And Piccini, who played last night, seen him play a couple of times and enjoyed watching him play. Last night, he really linked up well with Soler on the right hand side, got himself forward, some great delivery into the box from that right hand side. So he's another one in terms of fullbacks who's actually caught the eye. Not particularly last night, but before that, I've looked at him and thought he really makes a contribution in the final third of the pitch. So outside the obvious, look at Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico.
No, we don't want that here.
Exactly.
We want your hipster takes.
Yeah, exactly. So for that reason, I look at Valencia. look at Leon, those players that we've mentioned, Inter Milan, we've mentioned those players already. I mean, many more do you want?
Here.
You got 9 players.
Do you want to throw in one? I don't know. If you want to.
What type of player are you looking for? What position are you looking for?
We're well stacked in midfield, and we're well stacked at centre half. Is there a number 9 in there anywhere, or is the day of the number 9 being your best player on the pitch well and truly gone?
Oh no, there's always room for the number 9. I mean, Alcácer, I think, is worth mention at Dortmund for the reasons that I've said.
He's a great bench player.
Yeah, well, exactly.
He can't start.
Yeah, he hasn't. That's correct, because he hasn't actually started a huge amount of games. But his goal scored and return in terms of minutes on the pitch,
it's
must
insane.
Be up there. There can't be much many people better than him.
That's a pretty good list. Tommy's changing my number 10 here, which is Alcácer from Dortmund at the moment. So.
You wanted an actual thing. You wanted a back 4 in there. You wanted a midfield 3. You wanted every other player to complement each other. You wanted a happy. But I thought this was a throwaway. Let's throw 10 players out there. You're actually looking to put a team together.
No,
you're a Premiership. This is Premiership manager.
Football manager.
Stuff, is it?
Time to get addicted to Football Manager soon. Actually, all I was trying to do was to stop your runaway train of picking 6'5" centre backs. You picked a few of them. So Kenny's top 10 footballers of the Champions League so far. I'm actually liking this list. I'm actually surprised.
Pjanic in there. We haven't even from Juventus, because I've been underwhelmed with him. I've been underwhelmed with him the last couple of years, particularly when he played against us for Bosnia in the playoffs. I remember I was really disappointed in him. He had a big reputation at that time. I hadn't seen enough of him, but I'd have to say the game of Manchester at Old Trafford this year, he really impressed me, really stood up, kind of almost ran the show at times at Old Trafford.
So we've actually got an 11 here, but we don't have a goalkeeper. So last man back, we'll say. So we've got Zagadou, we've got Van Dijk, we've got Skriniar.
Zagadou and goal, 6'4". I was going to get the ball past him. Put a pair of gloves on him.
He'd be absolutely fine. We got Sancho, Brozovic, Hakimi, Cornet, Depay, Soler, Alcácer and Pjanic. It's a pretty good 11. Michael Dara-McCauley came in earlier this week and we asked him to pick his 10 top albums of the year, and he also picked 11 albums instead of 10. He couldn't fit in 10.
Oh, is that
You've
right?
done the same with your top 10 footballers, so I guess great minds think alike. Thank you for that, Kelly. Thank you for being so enthusiastic about this. I'm actually really surprised.
Oh, but, I dug deep. You
really did. It was tough, I know, but it was worth it. So, news broke yesterday that Sky were pulling their sponsorship and involvement in British cycling. We spoke to Sean Ingle on the evening show last night on the end of Team Sky and what's next.
Depends who you speak to. If you speak to people involved in Team Sky, they sort of say, look at what we've got. We've got many of the best riders in the world. There's Froome, there's Thomas, and then we have a brilliant young Colombian rider who is going to basically take over them both and do brilliantly. And so why wouldn't somebody want to take over the team? However, another way of looking at it is Froome's going to be 35 come May 2020. Thomas is going to be 34. Egan Bernal, the Colombian, is brilliant, but as a British sponsor or European sponsor, really going to throw that much money to have a team led by him? I doubt it. What I think will happen is they will try and get a sponsor in the next 3-4 months. And Brailsford has sort of hinted, and people are telling me off the record, that really by the time of the Tour de France, they really have to have someone, sponsor in place. Otherwise, it all goes up in the air. It wouldn't shock me if some riders and their agents start speaking to other teams early next year.
Sean Ingle there at The Guardian speaking about, I don't want to say the demise of Team Sky, but the end of Team Sky anyway. It's going to come back in a different guise.
That is a demise. That's the ultimate demise, isn't it? A disappearance.
Good point. Darren Cleary, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
Good morning, Kenny. Yeah, I'm very well. Not too bad at all.
Are you, I've just heard there from somebody on Twitter that they're very impressed with Kenny's lament of the demise of cinema, the traditional cinema experience. How many times have you gone to the cinema this year, bearing in mind you don't have kids?
I don't have kids. I go to cinema loads of times. I love the cinema. I find it real relaxing. I turn my phone on airplane mode. No one can annoy me for 2.5 hours. It's a really pleasant experience. It's great.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a long film. 2.5 hours. Bloody hell, it's a long film.
Well, no, as soon as I get
the trailers.
Yeah, I turn it off.
It goes on airplane mode. Trailers.
I have to.
Yeah, I don't. Well, funny, we're talking about cinema experience, because you mentioned it to me, didn't you, a while ago? I haven't seen you since Jolly up in Lisbon, whatever. But before, prior to you leaving with the News Talk flow and with Tommy to Lisbon, you recommended the Lighthouse Cinema down in Smithfield, and I went down there. that's a different type of experience. And we spoke about the old modern day UCIs and your traditional kind of Savoy and the Delphis and all that.
Plexus with 50 screens.
Yeah. I went down there, watched that. I said it to you earlier, didn't I? Watched that Irish for that Rosie film. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be excellent.
Yeah.
It is great. I'm not like claiming credit for suggesting the Lighthouse. It's very well known.
Yeah.
But I will take.
I haven't been there. It was a
particular
first for me, actually. Yeah.
Do you know where you like if you like
experience.
the Lighthouse? Have you heard of the Stella in Rathmines? Remember the old Stella?
I heard it mentioned. I was out in Smith's the other night, and someone mentioned it that they just opened
in the last year or so. Yeah.
Last year or so. Yeah.
It's been done up, renovated. It's lovely.
Really?
Yeah, it's absolutely great. It's gorgeous. And the good thing is it's a little bit more expensive, so you're not going to get kids there. So it's a nice, peaceful experience. And go watch
Nothing wrong with kids, Darren.
There's nothing wrong with kids. Nothing wrong with
That's the only
kids.
reason Kenny goes to the cinema.
That's it. I get
What
dragged
age
there
is he?
by the young fella. He's 9.
Oh, well, then he can go too. As long as he's quiet.
I don't like getting too, though. I don't want this getting out of hand, this cinema experience, where it gets to the point where, you know, the old 2-seater sofa job. That was a while. They were pushing that for a while, weren't they? Sit there, hand you a menu. Almost to the point you can order drinks.
You won't like
that's
that's
too for that's getting too carried away with the whole thing, like, you know what I mean? Don't mind a bit of posh popcorn or raising the bar in terms of pick and mix and that type of thing, but you know, once you start getting away with yourself,
Are you a popcorn and a pick and mix guy?
You're ordering from the menu and things like that. Forget about it. You got a little poof in front of you in the chair watching the cinema.
That's all you need.
It's ridiculous, like, you know what I mean? I hope the Stella might be a step too far for me.
Yeah, you've just described the Stella experience.
And your pair of fluffy slippers as you walk in with your chicken and popcorn.
In the little thing you put your feet on, the little footrest, you lift it up and there's a blanket inside. You put your jacket in.
Is there really?
You tuck yourself into the blanket, yeah.
You wanted me up?
I'm deadly
Are you
serious. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jeez, there's some off-the-ball pundits who would love that experience, but Kenny Cunningham is not that guy. Darren, what's going on?
Jose Mourinho says he was not surprised that his second string spurned the chance to impress him in the Champions League last night. Man United lost 2-1 to Valencia, and having secured qualification before the final game, the United boss made 8 changes for the away game as injuries took a toll ahead of the trip to Liverpool at the weekend. United new victory would see them top Group G in the unlikely event that Juventus slipped up in Switzerland, but Mourinho's men failed to do their bit as the improbable played out as the young boys won. The United boss left frustrated but unsurprised by what he saw from a team that included, among others, Paul Pogba, Marouane Fellaini and Romelu Lukaku.
My players, especially players that week in, week out, you ask me why they don't play, why they don't start, was a good match to play. A match without any kind of pressure, a match of a competition that everybody likes to play. And in the end, my team improved really when I made the changes that I didn't want to make, which is a little bit of frustration because I didn't want to play the 3 players that I played in the second half.
Jose, did you learn anything then from this game?
No. Maybe you did.
They just
not me.
Reinforced certain things that you thought about players and how much of a
I didn't learn anything from this game. Anything. Nothing that happened surprised me at all.
Did you learn anything from that game, Kenny?
It's downbeat though, isn't it? I still don't like it, do you know what I mean? And he's not been overly critical of the performance, but indirectly he is. That's basically what he's saying, isn't it? He can't help himself. He needs to get that across. No, I wasn't happy with that performance. Those players aren't good enough. Question their maybe their attitude, their application. He almost still can't help. There's still that negative. It was a below par performance. Don't get me wrong, but still, I still don't like it. You know, he could easily have handled that differently. Look, we've qualified. That's exactly where we want to be. Yeah, it was an opportunity for players to play. They'll benefit from minutes on the pitch, and then park it to the side and then move on for the game at the weekend. Talk up the players who came on, Rashford, Lingard, as he did to a certain extent, big them up a little bit because he'd been knocking Rashford for most of his time at Old Trafford. So again, just in terms of, it's almost like he can't help himself putting that almost a little bit, well, what can I do? It doesn't matter what players I put on the pitch, I'm not getting response from them. Almost as if this is outside my control, what's happening. It's purely down to the players and their application. It's nothing to do with me in terms of how I'm setting up the players, how I'm kind of actually managing the players, the environment I'm creating at the football club, all those type of questions which I think are applicable as well. Doesn't want to discuss that. It's almost like putting it on the players again.
Yeah, it's just showing disdain for the players, isn't it? Well, Man United have finished second in Group H despite their rivals Juventus losing 2-1 away to Young Boys in Switzerland. Man City will be top seed for the Champions League draw when it's made early next week. Pep Guardiola's side confirmed top spot, coming from behind to beat Hoffenheim 2-1 at the Etihad Stadium. Lyon finished second in Group F after a 1-1 draw away to Shakhtar Donetsk. Bayern Munich top Group E, holding out for a dramatic 3-3 draw with Ajax. Real Madrid and Roma both suffered surprise defeats. The holders lost 3-0 to CSKA Moscow. Roma beaten 2-1 by Victoria Pilsen. Well, Lee Griffiths has been given indefinite leave by Celtic as he seeks professional help for their off-field problems. Manager Brendan Rodgers said ahead of their Europa League tie with Rapid Vienna that the striker is struggling and that life is tough for him right now. A number of outlets report that the 28-year-old is seeking help for gambling issues. Rodgers did not offer details but strongly hinted at concern that needed to be resolved.
Lee will be taken out of football now for a little period of time. Lee's had ongoing issues now for a number of months, and he's done amazing to get through and to play to the level and score some of the goals that he has. But he's reached a point where it's a struggle for him, and now for us, we're going to give him all the professional help that he possibly needs to get himself into a good place again, to come back doing what he does best. But in order to do that, he needs to find a happiness. You know, he's a father of 5 children. He's a great guy, but football is and life is tough for him. So we want to help him. So he'll be out of football for a period of time, and we'll let you know another time when he's back.
St Pat's have strengthened their side ahead of the new SSE Airtricity League season with the capture of 2 important players. Harry Kenny has confirmed the signing of Brandon Mealy and Mikey Drennan on 2-year contracts. The former PFAI Young Player of the Year Mealy joins from Shamrock Rovers, where he was limited to just 16 league starts last season. Drennan returned to the game after some time away last year as he dealt with depression. He impressed for Sligo Rovers, where he scored 9 times in 17 matches. Moving next to rugby, and the Ireland head coach Joe Schmidt says he doesn't have time to dwell on his impending exit from the job. The Kiwi will leave the post after the tournament in Japan in 2019 to concentrate on his life outside of rugby. The New Zealander was named the Phillips Sports Manager of the Year, having guided Ireland to unprecedented success in the last 12 months. Schmidt admits it was very hard to walk away.
It's difficult not to stay where I am. It's difficult not to keep enjoying what I'm doing with a fantastic group of people. So for me, I'm just fully focused on the next 11 months. It couldn't be a bigger 11 months for us. So, we've got England in 7.5, 8 weeks. So, I'm pretty good at shortening the focus, and that's what it's going to be all about for the next 11 months. I just think as a group, we want to try to roll our sleeves up and stay as competitive as we can. I think with Simon and Andy, Richie, they are so competent. I think they'll do a great job. So there's all sorts of upsides to it. There's the older generation and my son, the younger generation, that will take up a lot of time in those 12 months post finishing, and I'm actually looking forward to that as a different sort of challenge, because I don't get home that often. I'm out and away, and I think in the coming year I'm going to be out of the home for probably more days than I'm in the home.
Now, a Dublin legend, Dessie Farrell, has taken over the top job in his club, Nafina. He takes the reins from Phil McElwee, who worked with Farrell with both the Dublin Minors and the Under-21s. The 1995 All-Ireland winner managed the Dublin to the 2012 All-Ireland Minor title, the county's first at that grade in 26 years. He also won the All-Ireland with the Under-21s in 2015.
2011.
Oh.
Was that not when Dublin got absolutely destroyed by that last gasp goal by Tipperary?
You better be right with that comment down. Cutting Darren's legs off. Cutting his legs off from there.
Right,
you can't just say keep going after you've jumped in like that.
We're live fact checking.
Rush of blood to the head right there.
Think in future.
In his final year, he won another Under-21 title. Owen, what year was that? Before they regraded it?
Humiliating.
Exactly.
You're right, Darren. Humiliating. Go from Darren. Go from. Go on.
The former head of the GPA was the heir apparent for Jim Gavin's senior job, but he distanced himself from that role. Kenny, you went to school with Dessie, did you?
I did, yeah. It's great to see him there, actually. Yeah, I played for obviously a small bit of time in the Finn myself, so
yeah,
good to see him there. I think he'll do a great job.
Absolutely, good luck to him. You got a couple of other stories, or one last one?
Our last story, and NASA has invited the NBA superstar Steph Curry to take a tour of their facility. This week, the Warrior star appeared on a podcast and said that he didn't believe that NASA had ever really been to the moon. Other guests on the show also sided with the basketball player on the theory. Curry asked, have we ever been to the moon? Nope, was the general response from the other guests in the studio on that podcast. Curry added, they're going to come get us. I don't think so either. The exchange came as a follow-on to a conversation about exactly how scientists know what dinosaurs sounded like. Officials from the Space Agency publicly offered to show the three-time NBA champion their lunar lab at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, which contains moon rocks from the 1969 Apollo 11 missions. Curry says he was joking and he doesn't actually believe the moon landings were faked. It was all a joke, but he says, I'm definitely going to take NASA up on their offer, but I am going to educate myself firsthand on everything that NASA has done and shine a light on their tremendous work over the years.
Wow, what a U-turn. There are numerous people in the NBA who actually believe the world is flat, namely Kyrie Irving, the biggest flat earther out there. That's a mad story. Darren, thank you very much.
We've been to the moon, Owen?
You see, I wasn't there to actually confirm it, but from reports I do believe we have actually got there.
Kenny, we've been to the moon?
No.
Are you a flat earther?
A flat earther?
Sorry, no, you don't believe in the moon landing. Sorry, different thing.
I believe in the moon landing.
So you have been to the moon?
No, I haven't. But I believe.
We as a human race.
I believe people did land on the moon.
All right, we might have to continue this discussion some other time. Darren needs to get onto the Radio 98 FM. You can hear him over there. We're getting to our Christmas gift guide with Jess Kelly very soon. Before that, Matt Williams was here on Wednesday Night Rugby last night discussing the future of Joe Schmidt.
You would, if you were Schmidt and you had had the journey you'd had with Ireland, you would want to see it through until a World Cup. You'd want to put the wrongs of 2015 right, I would suspect.
Absolutely. I don't think there was any way that Joe was doing anything without having another go at the World Cup and fixing up, as you say, Joe, righting the wrongs. I think Woody is absolutely spot on. It just smacks of class, prestige and respect from both sides. You know, the New Zealanders could have leaked that, and they don't and didn't, and Joe didn't. But Joe's a New Zealander, and he would have grown up like all of us, adoring his national team and wanting to be part of it. And maybe he will in the future. But I think it smacks of class that Joe says, no, I'm taking Ireland there, that I'm having a sabbatical, and he may very well come back in the future, which is his right. And I hope he does. I certainly hope he does. I agree with Woody that the way the New Zealanders have structured their success since the 2007 World Cup, where they lost, is that they bring coaches into the system, into the national team in a role, and that evolves through. So there is a type of seamless transition, but an evolution forward. And maybe that's Joe's position there, because I did see that they were talking to the current coach there, the Steve, the national coach of New Zealand, and saying he might stay on for another 2 years. So, that might be the window that's required.
Matt Williams speaking to Joe on Wednesday Night Rugby last night. Would you want to talk about books? We've spoken to Kenny about his favourite movie of the year, but you got into reading quite a bit lately, apparently.
Not a big one really. I used to read quite a bit years ago. I just fell out of the habit for quite a number of years, actually, to be honest. Probably the little fella arriving. But I suppose only the last maybe 6 weeks or so, really, I've literally picked up, actually, I wouldn't say technically stole a book from you, but I picked up a book. Wasn't on your desk. It was adjacent to your desk in that box.
I'll tell you what that box is. So, I was on the judging panel for the Air Sports Book of the Year this year.
There it was.
What they do is they drop in a big cardboard box full of every single sports book that's written that year, 23 in all. And I left it underneath my desk. And
it wasn't under your desk, it was to the side. It was adjacent to the side. Yeah, there was distance. There was actually a small bit of distance
you got to
between
it before
the box.
I even got to it myself. And I got stuck into it one day, and there was numerous books, all of which were excellent books, missing from it. I had to track down Andy Lee's book from someone in the office.
All right.
You took The Man Who Was Never Knocked Down, the Ronan McNummer book about Sean Mannion, and there was at least 2 other books missing from that. So I had to go hunting for books because of people like you just took the liberty to steal books from me.
Yeah, that's fair play, but it was just literally walking past. It was one of them just caught me eye. I looked in the box, and that particular book just kind of, literally jumped out. I just picked it with hardback, obviously. Just
Why,
looked
the cover?
Yeah, just the cover. Looked at it and read the back a little bit, and it was amazing because I really enjoyed. I read it in about kind of 2 days. So I was heading back in to London. I was on the plane and literally couldn't put it down. It was a great read, like, you know what I mean? It's a great story. It's amazing, really, because if you'd have asked me, who's Sean Mannion, I would have said, do you know who Sean Mannion is? I would have said, oh, I know the name, and I might even have put, is he a boxer? But that literally would have been it. And I threw it open to the production crew here when I came back a couple of weeks after, same type of thing. Anybody, there must have been a dozen lads, all the media boys. Sean Mannion, who is he? Silence. No, nobody knew who he was. And it's amazing because how good a fighter that he was. His life story is really engaging in itself. But the thing in the book, as I read through the book, became evident was how good a fighter he was. Owen. He was a brilliant fighter, and it was a little, not sad. Like his professional life wasn't sad because he actually fought for a world title. He fought Mike McCallum, and he fought at the time some of the greatest fighters of all time in that particular weight, wasn't it? Yeah. Ray Leonard, Hagler, Duran, Hitman Helms. They were all fighting at that time. Sean didn't fight any, but McCallum was up there with him. None of those other four would fight McCallum. He was that good. He had a bad injury in the lead up to McCallum fight.
Yeah, he cut his eyelid.
Yeah, and he was beaten. Obviously, he was beaten well in the fight.
But the thing was, the cut made sure that he couldn't do any contact training in the lead up to
couldn't box.
World Championship fight, and he still, as the title suggests, was not knocked down. He was the man who was never knocked down, but he did lose the fight. You do feel a little bit sorry for him, though, because of the way he was treated in the United States. Not treated badly or anything like that, or any sense of injustice, just by being a victim of not having perhaps the right management, which was so pivotal at that time in the boxing game.
Yeah, you look at the young boxing talent around at the moment in terms of how they're looked after, kind of how they're channeled, their kind of career path is kind of laid out before them. They're really looked after in terms of how fights are selected for them, really kind of brought on in the right way. When you look at the way kind of Sean Mannion kind of boxed, how he lived, like, you know, how he was looked at. I mean, he was a grafter. He was working construction for the majority of the time that he was actually boxing. You know, he was out of his bed. He was on building sites, going to the gym in the evening, like crazy stuff from a professional point of view. So, yeah, and I mean, it was only when he was 30, I think, he made that decision to kind of step away. Like you said, fiercely loyal man, and that background, like Galway man, Gael talked earlier, Irish speaking. Always had his brother in his corner. Used to speak Gaelic. Got to speak Gaelic with his brother during the course of the fights. Big family man and fiercely loyal, in particular to the people around him. You're talking management team, trainers, and then maybe if you had taken that step away earlier, eventually did. Went to Angelo Dundee, Ali's, and he's quoted in there. Dundee's saying how good a fighter Sean was. If he'd have got him, if he'd have got him 10 years,
20, he would have turned him into a world champion.
He'd have been a world champion.
That's called The Man Who's Never Knocked Down. It's by Ronan McNumara about Sean Mannion. We did actually interview the two lads on the show here if you want to check it out on YouTube. There's a comment in here from Keith saying, not usually big on sports autobiographies as they're usually fairly vanilla, which is true, but I loved Andy Lee Boxing's Fighter, brought it on account of his interesting insight on off the ball, and it's well worth reading for no frills look at the grind of pro boxing. Also, most of his fights are available on YouTube, so it was great being able to relive his big fights and huge knockout wins whilst reading his commentary on them. That right hook will put any man to sleep. It's so true when you read a great sports book like that, especially about somebody you're not too familiar with. Yeah. I personally, straight onto YouTube, watch whatever their fights, their best goals, whatever it may be, back, and that's a sign of a great book. What is that in front of you? It's been sitting there all morning.
Well, I only got out because you said you wanted to go down this route, the old book club, and I had a...
What are you reading right now is always an interesting question.
Yeah, well, I only picked this up. I had to order this in chapters. I only picked it up a couple of days ago when I arrived over. This was like off the back of a bit of conversation with Joe in here maybe a few weeks ago in relation to, I think James McLean was topical at the moment in terms of the Remembrance 100-year anniversary of World War One. James's reference at the time was in the back of the papers for the wearing of the poppy and all the discussions around that, which has been out there for quite some time. So that was in my head a little bit, and I just thought, I'll get a book. I'll get a book on the war, World War One, and I'll have a read of it. And just coincidentally, I was in the airport. I was reading the Times, the Irish Times, and there was mention of this particular book by a journalist. I didn't have time to finish it. I had to get on the flight. I actually left the paper, but I caught enough of it in terms of the title and the author to kind of make me way into chapters. It's called There's a Devil in the Drum.
I'll just grab that off you for a second, hold it up to the camera.
Yeah, no, it's just,
what we're talking about here.
From what I read in the paper, it was a very vivid account of life in World War One. This is a true story, like Irish brothers who kind of signed up from Cork, actually, signed up in the British Army, went and fought in World War One. So, Yeah, not much of a story. I just felt as if I'll do it off the back of the 100-year. We spoke about in terms of what it means to you, World War One. We spoke about kind of obviously the Irish connection there. Obviously, Irish people signing up in their thousands as they did, and the reasons for it, the history at the time in Ireland, the times of the rise and all that was going on there kind of politically, and kind of what it means to you, what wearing the poppy, because I've worn the poppy occasionally. It's not, I don't wear it every year, but kind of when I did, it was always in my mind that in terms of, for me, mark respect more so Irish soldiers who fought in both wars, but the First World War in particular, and soldiers in general for me kind of stood out. And I just thought, I'll do it, not kind of as a mark of respect, like getting too kind of nostalgic or emotional about the whole thing, but I thought, you know what, rather than wear it in a bit of a show, just wearing a poppy and putting it in and disappearing in the wardrobe.
Increase your
I'll read a
understanding.
book. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I said, I'll read a book on it, although I have kind of read a few bits over the years. And this one, like I said, because I read the bit in the paper, just because I'll go and get it. This had to be ordered from America, actually, because it was written in 1936, published in 1938. So it's an old book, like, you know, right. But yeah, so I'm just about 100 pages into that. Yes, it's never, you never say a good read, like, because they're just getting into the bones of it now. They've just arrived in France, and they're on their way, the two brothers, like. But
it's not the most ordinary thing in the year 2018 when there's vitriolic political debate waging for one to pick up a book and actually educate themselves more on the topic. So fair play to you for doing that. Has it increased your understanding? Or is it just
it is like, yeah, I think it's more so on a human level. We all know to a certain extent what went on in World War One, the type of warfare that it was, but I think it's more the human story in terms of people's personal experience on a day-to-day who actually went through it and being able to put it down on paper, obviously, and what comes off the page at you, like, you know. So yeah, it's one of them. I'm always a bit struggling to find the words in terms, a bit like Sean's book. It was a really enjoyed the read. You're talking about someone's life story there, the good and the bad, and it's not all sweetness and light, you know what I mean? But I do find it very interesting, yeah.
Good stuff. OTB AM is live with Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products. Now, the Keith Andrews Show is live every Thursday and Off the Ball from 12:30. You can listen to the podcast in our football show section or watch the show back on YouTube. We've got a cracking show this afternoon. Graham Souness and Dublin GAA star Philly McMahon are both going to join Keith in studio. Now, here's a story from Irish international Stephen Reid on last week's Keith Andrews Show. Reid played a full half against Arsenal with a broken leg.
You're that desperate to just play that you'll do anything, really, won't you?
It's scary, really. It's probably scary that I played against Arsenal for an hour when I was at West Brom with a broken leg. You know, I had a fracture in my fibula. I had a clash with my heel, our keeper. So it was just a little bit lower than the knee. So instantly I'm thinking, I've done something to my knee, felt really sore. What probably didn't happen is that we went out on our Christmas do for 2 days in London with the team after. That probably didn't help matters. But I played for an hour with a fracture in my leg. So after that, I actually thought, you know what, it's actually scary.
Yeah.
That you're putting your body through some of these things that, like now, I'm not playing. You know, I might be in pain for whatever reason it might be, but because you're that used to playing through pain, playing through swelling, doing what you can to get fit, actually, if there is something going on, you might, you know, in a way think to yourself, just get on with it. I'm used to dealing with pain and just getting through it. So you know, after that, I thought, you know what, it's a little bit scary what you put your body through at times.
Stephen Reid there speaking on the Keith Andrews Show last week. It's live again from 12:30 this afternoon. Graham Souness and Philly McMahon. Not a bad lineup coming your way at 12:30. As you can see, Jess Kelly's with us. How are you?
Very well, how are you?
Not too bad. So it's the 13th of December. Is it too late to call yourself an early shopper at this point?
Oh, I start in like July.
I know you do.
No, I know, but I'm not normal. I have pretty much everything wrapped now, you know.
That's sickening, Kenny, isn't it?
Like for Christmas presents. Do you shop early or what?
I kind of had this conversation last night, to be honest. I don't really want to regurgitate it. I'm not a shopper.
You're a bad humbug.
You're not a shopper?
I'm not a shopper. I don't shop.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate Christmas?
Nah, that's unfair.
You're the happiest person I've ever met, though.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. Thanks for
You are.
balance. Thanks for
Kenny
just
is
balancing the scales. Thanks
No,
for balancing
Kenny is
the
my
scales.
favourite guest in here because every time you come in, you're so happy.
Look how chuffed he is.
And I
Doesn't last
remember.
long, Jess. Doesn't last, because Owen's the first person generally I say when I swing around the bend.
Do you know why? Because I remember one day it was really stressy in here, and you and Adrian Barry were having a good 20-minute conversation about your favourite type of donuts.
Wouldn't be like them.
And I've never heard a conversation like it. I ended up stopping what I was doing just to listen to them. It was just a lovely moment. So
Yeah,
you're
Adrian's a bit
happy, so-
quirky like that. He let me.
Adrian's the weird
one.
one, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about technology, because
Yes.
that's what we're here to do.
That's what we got on the desk here. You got plenty of technology
I
here.
brought in
You've
some
got
toys
two
for you,
phones.
yeah.
What have we got?
So what we're going to start with is this little yellow disc here. This is called the Chipolo Key Finder. It's €27, and if you're looking for either an Office KK gift or a stocking filler or just something small,
KK Chris Kringle.
that's the one, yeah. Check you out with your lingo.
Just trying to keep people in
I was
check.
thinking Krispy Kremes there, to be honest with you. Straight away.
You and your donuts.
Straight away.
So what this does is it pairs to your phone, and if you lose your keys, whether it's behind the couch or if you leave them in work, you can, on your phone, call your keys.
Jesus.
And then you can shut it up. But it'll give you your GPS location. It'll literally, like I have it here on my phone here now, and you can see that it's saying it's in Diggs Lane. It'll tell me exactly where it is, and I absolutely love it. I kind of call it in the mornings when I'm not bothered looking for my
That's
keys.
an upgrade on the traditional whistling for your keys, isn't it, around the house? Remember that? You could whistle, and there was a little fob which responded to that.
Yeah.
It was pretty weak.
This is a bit
This is a big
more.
upgrade. This would be a big help.
The cynic in me.
Big help.
Go on, be simple.
The cynic, very like this is something that you'd see in like a spy movie. That somebody would like plant that thing on somebody, and then they can see where that person is on your phone.
Yeah, sure,
Like,
we've
what's-
done it to you. So the last time you were away, we all knew where you were at all times.
Yeah,
You're being
alright.
tracked at all
In terms of
times.
tracking your movements, etc. You know, sinister.
Yeah,
Like it,
all
it.
these. I'm very skeptical.
But on a
technology.
practical level, I'm all over this because I'm terrible with keys, like house keys, the keys, car, everything's been lost, like, you know. So this.
It's only €27, Kenny. So perhaps you could gift it to yourself this Christmas.
It's the Chipolo. They also do little cards that you can slot into your wallet. So if you're always losing your wallet, again, same principle, you can call your wallet, which is very handy, particularly around this time of year when everybody's out and maybe having one too many, perhaps.
Owen's wallet's never out, I know that, but
That's a different case,
Literally never been in a social environment with you, Kenny. So thank you for that.
But we're really going like deep here today.
Well, look, I actually owe Kenny breakfast. I lost.
I didn't want to bring it up with Darren. I didn't want to bring it up.
We'll get breakfast afterwards.
Still outstanding.
We'll chat about this at 9:30. I'll buy you breakfast afterwards.
Right.
What do we got next?
Moving right along is something that I would be lost without in my apartment. It's the Chromecast. So I don't know if you guys have smart TVs, which will have a lot of apps built into the interface. I have a smart TV, but I hate the interface, so I never use it. What I do is plug in my Chromecast. It plugs into the HDMI port of your telly, and anything you can do on your phone, you can then do on the TV, like Netflix, YouTube. Like my boyfriend always watches OTB AM with the Chromecast.
Very good morning to you.
How are you? Through Facebook, anything that you can watch, any content you can consume, you can throw it up. Spotify, also really good gift for parents and grandparents because again, you can get your photographs off your phone onto the big TV, and it's only 40 quid.
Also, another app you could put on it. So, like I know it's kind of timely this week. Is myself and Kenny had an argument about watching the golf earlier on this summer, the USPGA Championship, which of course was only on 11 Sports, which apparently is going to go down the toilet this week, which you're delighted about. But you were wondering, how do I get this thing onto my television? In a very simple way. That is the answer right there, Chromecast.
So last year, Kenny and I had the conversation of how do we get music onto a phone. So I don't know if we're at the Chromecast stage.
Did you get music on your
I'll
phone?
be honest, my head's still spinning in terms of what you've just said there. I wouldn't be too au fait.
But yeah, obviously, all you do is plug it into the back of the television, and you press a button on your phone, and what you see in your phone then becomes your television.
So
it's amazing. It's like.
It's the most simple technology. It's streaming. So it's kind of like you're sending a message to the TV, but instead of it being a text message, what it is, it's the
remote
video.
control do that, doesn't there? On, off, change channel.
But sometimes you don't have the channel like 11 Sports. What if there's only something that's only exclusively available on your phone, like 11?
Right.
Then that way, how do you transform that to put it onto your TV?
It wouldn't too much on my phone. I'd want to see. I mean, I've got a scattering of text messages on my phone, and there's nothing.
See, the big thing for me.
Not substantial on my phone, really, that I'd need. I wouldn't have any music things or anything.
The big thing for me is that I don't have a traditional TV package, so I don't have Sky or Virgin or anything like that. So any media that I consume will be Netflix or YouTube or anything like that, which I play on my phone, and then I hit this little button and it appears then on the telly.
You can say, so you have it on both forms, on your phone and Yeah, I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like it's very, very handy. It's one of the most used gadgets in my house.
Another gadget that I think you use quite a bit is the Google Home Mini.
Yeah, so this is really pathetic, and I'm going to just share with you here now. But the first conversation I have every day of the week is with this little device. It's my Google Home Mini.
That's normal, yeah?
It's totally normal. I know, I'm weird. But I will say to it, you know, is it going to rain today? What time is my first meeting? You know, remind me to pick up milk on the way home, and she'll answer me back. It's on your phone as well. But this is a smart assistant that you can have. I have it in my apartment, and I have the bigger one, the Google Home. So the Mini is €59, and I absolutely love it. Would you talk to an AI?
No, I don't. Is this similar to the girl's name or something on the...
Alexa.
Is that Alexa? Somebody got something for the young fella. I think it's an Alexa thing.
Yeah, so that's by Amazon. So that's the Amazon Echo.
That's a similar principle, is it?
Exactly it, yes. You can ask it questions, you can have the chats. Like, I use it all the time if I'm watching something on telly, and I'll be like, you know, it could go, what age is Robert De Niro? And it'll tell me. You know the way you'd always be on your phone kind of Googling things as they pop into your brain? You can just chat to it.
Can Kenny chat to it now?
I don't know, that one's not plugged in.
No, I tried to have a with the... I keep thinking Atari. It's not Atari. What did you say the name
Alexa.
of it? Alexa, yeah. You know,
You can do Hey Google and just see if this wakes up. Hang
end
on.
up repeating yourself like 5-6 times. Just
At least
give up. Like,
you eventually get what you want, though, right?
Well, no, that's my point. I didn't.
You've never gotten what you wanted out of it. I think that's kind of sad. We don't have this
the
one
music
plugged
is
in.
the obvious one. And you shout like the music. I know it was...
I could plug this in for...
You can try and see if it's on the...
And, we can come back to it in a few moments
Yeah,
if that
we can
works.
give that a go and see if it jumps onto the Wi-Fi, because I set it up this morning, so that should work.
I would like to see it in action. I actually don't own one of these myself.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I think... like, you're on the side of the spectrum where it's like absolutely no. You're on the side of the spectrum where it's like absolutely yes to technology, and I think I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I think maybe
Stuff like this is really useful, though. So again, like, if you aren't watching all of the games at the same time, you can ask it what the score is, how long is left, all that sort of stuff. You can ask it to turn on the radio. I have it hooked up to my lights. So again, when I get home every day, I say, hey Google, turn on the living room light, put Friends, oh, she's listening to me there now, put Friends on Netflix, and she can do all of this. And when I'm cooking my dinner, I can say set a timer for 3 minutes, and it'll set a timer. Initially it is very strange because you are just talking to a random piece of kit. I found myself saying thank you to it, and I always refer to it as her. So I'm always like, oh no, I asked her earlier on, she said it's not going to rain. It's definitely like that film Her, you know, when Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with an AI type thing.
Yeah.
It's utterly freaky, but it's going to happen. I'm just putting it out there.
No, I hear what you're saying, all right. Yeah, I am slightly uncomfortable with the whole process. It's interesting what you're saying, all right, but that seems to be where we're going with these things.
It is, and it's only going to get more and more. I just want to see if the one on my phone works, because if we can do that, then we can. What time is it?
It's 9:16.
So the idea is...
It's 17, actually.
Google, you're wrong.
Sorry, I might be a little buggy.
She apologises. She's so polite.
Look how polite that person is, Kenny. Is that going to float your boat? 59 quid?
No, I won't be getting any of that stuff, obviously, but...
Okay.
I do find it interesting, and people clearly enjoy it, and there's a market out there for it all right, and it's only going to go in one direction. I understand it totally, but... Yeah, but I mean, asking for the, like, you know, I mean, the weather, look out the window, you know, the weather forecast.
But
like,
the effort of that, though, what if your blinds are closed?
And like you say, you're repeating yourself. I'll have to repeat myself 6 times, because I don't know whether it's an accent thing or something. I don't know whether it's the stuff over there in the UK, but it's ridiculous. Like, you just get frustrated with the whole, well, I do anyway, with the whole process. So, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a block or something, but in terms of really engaging with these type of things, not for me, like.
Okay, well, I've brought in a device just especially for you.
I can't believe what I'm seeing on my list here.
I know.
Am I reading this right? Is this a Nokia 3310?
It's a Nokia 3310.
I just had one. I had one of, is that the old style ones? Still in the drawer
it's a newer version. So this now has 3G, and it's €65, and it has come back from the dead. So a company called HMD Global bought the naming rights for Nokia, and they've brought out some really impressive smartphones. But the one question, or the one thing that pops into mind when anyone says Nokia, is Nokia 3310. It was thought to be one of the most durable phones in the history of phones. Amazing battery life, and of course Snake. So this is the
Space Invaders as well.
Oh yeah.
Usually.
Yeah, I got very frustrated with that game, though. I wasn't allowed to play it after a while because I used to get really angry at it. Anyway.
It's a good impression right there.
Yeah, you've clearly played this. Okay, so we found your
I almost thought the phone was turned on there for a second.
So this is the new, as I said, €65. It has a little camera on the back. It has 3G, but it's quite slow. And as you'll see, it has the old school buttons that you have to press. So it's not a touch screen. So if you were to go onto a website, you do have to press W, wait, W, wait, and it takes a while.
Yeah.
But I just think this is something that could be up your street.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because mine's still in. I've still mine in the house because I haven't had that new phone for. Is it a smartphone I have now for too long? So I was perfectly fine on the old style one. I don't know why I changed. Was it a camera option or something? Just handy a couple of photos and things. I don't know why I went down the smart option.
But it's probably handy for you if you're travelling a lot to have your boarding passes on your phone and all that stuff. Do you go down that route or do you still print them out?
No, I wouldn't go down. No.
Really?
No, I wouldn't use that. Yeah. But this was this type of phone I had for a long period of time. This Nokia, I don't know what type it was, but that Nokia phone. This looks familiar to me. The kind of shape of it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Like that. It's got the camera option and things like that. This is. Yeah, this suits me.
That has huge potential because I think people are so annoyed with being wedded to their phone in terms of every little bit of their lives being at their fingertips because it can come right to them. But you still have the sentimental ability of taking a photograph on a phone that doesn't do anything else.
Yeah, like I think, so for such a long time, everybody wants to be on emails 24/7 and Instagram, everything, and boast about how busy they were. We're seeing a real pushback against that now. And I think a lot of people that I've met over the last 12 months have a phone like this for the weekends, so they don't have their work email pinging the whole time and they can just shut down a little bit. But as you say, if something goes wrong or if you want to capture a photograph, you can, or if you desperately, urgently need the internet, you have it. But for £65, I just think it's fab. Also, if any kids are looking for something to put on their Santa list and they're looking for a starter phone, it's a good way to go.
Yeah, they do make them up in the North Pole.
That's a good shout. The young fella's on my case, like in terms of his first phone. I've knocked him down, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, that might be a kind of a bit of medium.
It's a compromise.
Medium ground, like, yeah.
Not a bad shout, actually.
Cheers, Jess.
So we've got a couple of other things before the one that I'm most excited about, which we'll come back to.
Just to zip through these, right? So another phone, we just mentioned a good starter phone in the Nokia 3310. If you're looking for a good smartphone that is incredibly powerful, has a really, really good battery life, but is still quite affordable, the Huawei P Smart. Huawei are my favourite smartphone brand of the year. I'm using their Mate 20 Pro at the moment and it's incredible. I don't charge this during the day anymore. The battery lasts an entire day, which is such a novelty. But the P Smart is $199. It's available on every network. And again, if you're looking for a starter smartphone or you just want to call, text and take good pictures, that is the way to go.
That's incredible, €199. So you are out of choice using a Huawei. I always thought that Huawei was like, I kind of broke my phone there, don't get paid till the end of the month, I bought a Huawei there for
That's the way it was.
Months.
That's the way it was. But now
filler.
It's like
filler, exactly, a stopgap. But you purchased this by choice and you don't use a Samsung or an iPhone?
No, so I have on my desk right at this moment in time, I have the Samsung Note 9, I have the Huawei P20 Pro, I have the Google Pixel XL. I've got all of the top-end phones and this is the one that I choose as my personal device because the battery life is incredible, the camera is stunning. Also very cool thing, and I'm just going to show Eoin, but like see the fingerprint scanner is like on the glass rather than on the back of the phone. Really small, intelligent things.
That's the deal clincher right there.
Oh, but these novelty things, when you talk about phones all day long, it's like the small little differences, I suppose, that you notice.
That price sounds reasonable, 100. And generally speaking, you hear 400, 500, 600.
This phone is almost £1,000.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, this one is, but the one I'm talking about, the one that I'm recommending, is £200. So I think for £200, you can't really go wrong.
200, yeah.
Kenny's non-2+ after.
I think I talk too fast.
HP Sprocket 200 is next to my list. What is this?
This is a teeny tiny little printer. So this is it here. It's like a little shell. And the idea with this is that it pairs to your phone via Bluetooth and you print out photographs in this size here.
Okay.
So they're very small, very neat. But you can strip the back off and they become stickers. But there's no ink involved. It bleeds onto the paper. It's called zinc, invisible
so it's good for the
ink.
environment.
It's good for the environment. It's also good for your pocket because it means you're not having to replace ink and paper. You're just having to replace paper. I think it's lovely. I've been using them for personalised Christmas cards, gifts, like on my notebooks. Again, I'm on the extreme end of the spectrum, but €129. It's the HP Sprocket 200. If you buy it now, you get a little bundle deal. So you're getting the printer, you're getting a case, and then you're getting a little fairy light wiry thing. So again, just a lovely gift for 130 quid, which I would recommend.
And then our second last one, Samsung Gear S3.
Yeah, so again, when I was on with you a while ago, we were talking about different wearables, and we had the Samsung Gear S3. It's €289, so this is an expensive gift. You have to really like the person that you're shopping for. But if they are training for something in particular, if they are very active and they want to monitor things like, they're cycling, they're running, they're walking, how much they're moving throughout the day, their heart rate, but also have it on a device that looks like a normal watch, that is the way to go. Because as we've covered on this show in the past, some of them are just so ugly that you would not put them on the wrist, whereas this is a nice looking device. It pairs with Android devices. It can work with iPhone devices, but because it's made by Samsung, which use Android, it's optimized, I suppose, for Android devices. But for $289, I would recommend it.
Would he be a wearable guy, Kenny? No? I presume you're not a wearable guy.
Wearable?
Yeah, as in, like, would you be open to the idea of putting a smartwatch on your wrist?
Oh, yeah, I've never worn a watch.
Right.
What
about one that could give you information and help you with, I don't know, do you run, like, do you have like a keep fit routine?
I'd take over all right, yeah. But I wouldn't be recording information. Those Fitbit,
yeah, exactly.
They were around they were around for a while, weren't they? But I don't like I've never worn it. I broke my wrist when I was 18 on me, so I've never actually worn a watch. I wouldn't be jewellery. I wouldn't be.
Yeah. But would you have any interest or any want to know, like when you're playing your five-a-side, for example, would you want to know how much you've ran or, the distance covered or anything like that? No.
Do you play five-a-side?
No, I've just started, similar to like a bit of reading there, I'm talking. Literally over the last 6 weeks, I just started playing a bit of ball in Dublin with the lads here.
Yeah.
Yeah, just fancy, haven't played for a long time. I haven't played for about 10 years, really.
Still got it, though.
Can't lose what you never had on, as they say. But no, it is enjoyable, I must admit, apart from, obviously, my body giving way on me yesterday.
What happened to you yesterday?
Just to tell you, I was in a bad state here.
He has a little bit of an ankle issue.
Didn't I? Popped my calf. They made it into a full-size pitch yesterday and went down Rings End for a game with the lads. Full-size pitch and just lost it, running myself a bit. Nice plain surface, making overlapping runs and late runs into the box and covering every inch blade of grass, thinking, don't know what I was thinking.
You're watching too much of Diogo Dalot for Manchester United. You're trying to
I need to be more like the Parejo I spoke about, just sat in the middle of the pitch, just spraying the ball around, but no,
that's
unfortunately
it.
Not.
Go for the Fellaini style. Right, our last gift, a potential gift, it's only €99, and it is a PlayStation Classic. It is right behind us, as you can see on the screen. I've never been more excited about an item on OTB AM as I am right now, because we're going to give this a lash. So the PlayStation Classic, Jess, is preloaded with games.
Yeah, so the way this works, it looks exactly like the original PlayStation, except it's very, very small. It's incredibly neat. So if you already have all the consoles, this isn't going to take up a huge amount of living space. It's very easy to use. You plug it into the HDMI port in your telly, you plug it in. It comes with 2 controllers and is preloaded with 20 games, including Cool Borders 2, Derby Destruction, GTA, the original one. And what game are you most excited about?
Well, we're excited about Tekken. I'm just going to go through some of them right here. So we got Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. We've got Wild Arms. We've got Cool Borders 2, which I've never actually heard of. We've got Grand Theft Auto, the original GTA on this, which is...
football game. Sure, there's got to be football.
There is no football games. Metal Gear Solid is there. Rayman is there. Resident Evil Director's Cut. This is something that you buy on Christmas Eve and you don't turn it off until January the 2nd, I do fear.
Yeah.
Kenny Cunningham, have you ever played Tekken 3?
Kenny, sit in here.
Have you played any version
I've never played PlayStation. I've never played PlayStation.
You've never played PlayStation? Well, there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, and this is it. Just a
Jess,
point.
you should be sat here, really.
No, I'm like embarrassingly bad at these games. Here, you take this. The thing to note, just for anyone considering buying this, is that the quality is like the original PlayStation. So don't buy this expecting to see the likes of the Red Dead Redemption 2 graphics or anything like that.
Sure, it's not regenerated versions of the game.
It's exactly as it was.
I'm well out of my comfort zone here, just well out of my comfort zone. Why am I even looking at the press here?
So
I've got 2 controls here on the right and the left. What am I using?
Basically, you can see on the left hand side are the arrows. You point that one way, your guy moves that way. You point it the other way, your guy moves that way.
Yeah,
and then just bash the other
green.
side of the controller.
Just bash the other
like one of them is for a kick, one of them is for a punch.
You'll figure it out.
Etc.
So, like you can see here, like it's a massive nostalgia thing. When we broke this out in the office last week, how many people were like swarming around us? They were so excited.
Never been so popular.
You're excited, I can tell.
I'm buzzing, Kenny. Absolutely buzzing.
Literally, isn't he?
Yeah. So this, like, it is a great gift. If anyone is a relapsed gamer or just wants to have all the consoles. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Yeah, there are. There are people who are sort of my age and older who would have been big gamers in their teens and then walked away from it. This is, I just think, an excellent gift. Like, look at Eoin Sheahan's happy little face.
I'll never get through this process.
So
you better.
You see these characters here. Pick one of these characters. Who do you want to be?
Just press
which guy or girl or animal do you like the look of the most?
Leopard, the cheetah.
The cheetah.
So
that was me yesterday in the 5-a-side. I was literally that
I'm
swift.
going to help you here now.
Thanks, Jess.
So you're King and I'm Yoshimitsu.
And you have strong feelings about King, don't you?
King is terrible, but I did destroy a colleague of ours last week using King. So you just press X there.
Gotcha.
Okay, come on, we can do this.
Like a man, Jess.
Yeah, we
I
can
know
do
the X.
this.
Here we go.
Okay, well, I never know
It's me versus you. This is the fight to decide it all, Kenny.
Right,
I don't owe you breakfast anymore.
We're in combat here, are we? So just that green button, yeah?
You need to beat the bejesus out of him.
So
press the button.
Oh, you actually did land the punch there, Kenny. It was a good one. You owe me breakfast if I end up winning this. The bet is off. All I did was just
a bit of slack here, Owen, will you?
And I knocked you the hell out. It's 1-0 to me, Kenny, and that was rather easy. I'm not going to lie.
So that was a
replay.
Moves have I got? What have I got?
It's all over. You're dead.
Oh, right. I got you.
Here we go, round 2.
Just let me drop a few moves.
Okay, I'll let you go.
Can you just stand still for a minute and say, can I literally just drop a few moves?
Oh, you did? Yeah, that's good. Okay, now Owen, jump back in.
Well, you're not even doing any damage to me.
You've got a weapon in your hand. You're actually holding a sword, though.
It's true.
To be fair. Surely that's not.
Listen,
your vision is probably impaired because you're wearing a
it's like a Han Solo.
So Owen, like are you impressed by this? What do you think? Is it something you would want to keep playing with?
100%.
Yes.
It is Tekken. It feels like I'm living in 1999. Well, I don't know why my guy isn't getting up. You've actually got a chance here, Kenny.
You tried to jump on your head while you're on the ground there. I couldn't manage it.
Time up. We're out of time. It was a draw.
I thought I done okay there.
That was pretty good going.
I think that's it. We're going to continue to play a bit more of this once we're off air. Kenny, out of 10, how do you rate the PlayStation Classic? €99 for Christmas. Are you buying it?
No, I won't be buying it now. But I can imagine people are into this type of thing. Yeah,
give yourself.
It is a bit retro, is it? Is that what you're saying, Jess? It's
yeah,
kind
so a lot of the.
So you're not pitching this younger. You're pitching this people who played it in the day, but that nostalgic thing.
It's our age and older, basically. It's anyone like this who want to go back and throw back to their childhoods. Nintendo have
never look back, Jess. Never look back.
God, you're very philosophical for 9 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, so Nintendo have brought out a throwback console as well, but I actually really, really enjoy this. I think it's good fun, and I just think for €99, you know, if you've got a family member who you don't really know what to buy for, or if you've got an Eoin Sheahan in your life, just give it to him and he'll be happy.
Please. Yeah. You know who you are, please. Thank you very much for all that, Jess. It's some enlightening stuff right there. I think that's Kenny's fallen in love with that little gadget.
Yeah,
that's the one for me.
Just to reiterate, that is the Chipolo key finder. You can buy it for €27. We also spoke about Chromecast, Google Home Mini, Huawei P Smart, HP Sprocket 200, Samsung Galaxy Gear S3, Nokia 3310, and a PlayStation Classic. Your Twitter handle is at JessKellyNT.
Correct.
And if you've got any further questions for Jess, you can follow her on Twitter and ask her any questions. Folks, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're going to be back on air from tomorrow morning at 7:45 a.m. Adrian will be in the hot seat and I'll be with him. Today, though, Philly McMahon, there's a special on Keith Andrews' show. He's going to be with Keith Andrews, Philly will. And we've also got Graham Souness, let's not forget, in the studio to talk about the football. Off the ball tonight then, Johnny Ward is in the hot seat, John Giles as per usual, and much, much more. And as I say, it's myself and Adrian tomorrow. Alan Quinlan and the Liverpool versus Manchester United builds up. I'm off because Kenny Cunningham is going to buy me breakfast right now. Where are we going to go?
Oh, my ma's coming in actually. I tell my ma to take her out for breakfast. You might
so the three of us are going to go for...
You might have to get bumped.
The three of us can go along. Myself, yourself and your ma.
Three's a crowd really, isn't it? Particularly when the third person is Owen Sheahan.
Well,
it's just a bit awkward.
On that really tense note, we're going to say goodbye to you and a very good morning. Bye-bye for now.
OTB AM.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.